Contando de noches de esas que ya no se dan, pero queriendo volver a la última vez. Ya los ojos te miré y contarte las cosas que no te conté. ¿Te parece a mi crush? Y tirarte la foto que no te tiré. Echa bruto, es linda, déjame traerte una foto. Ey, tengo el pecho pelado, me dio una mata, el corazón dándome pata. Dime, baby, ¿dónde tú estás? Pa' llegarle con Roro, Julito, Cristal, Roy, Edgar, Seba, Carter, Nelly, Big J, tocando bota. Hoy la calle la dejamos desbarata. Y sería caro que no le toque el cuido. Yo veo tu nombre y me salen suspiros. No sé si son petardos o si son tiros. Mi loquita perico, mi kilo. No estoy en PR, tranquilo. Pero debí tirar más fotos de cuando te tuve. Debí darte más besos y abrazos las veces que pude. Ey, ojalá que los míos nunca se muden. Y si él me emborracha, pues que me ayude. Debí tirar más fotos de cuando te tuve. Debí darte más besos y abrazos las veces que pude. Ojalá que los míos nunca se muden. Y si él me emborracha, pues que me ayude. Ey, voy a estar con mi abuelo todo el día, jugando dominó. Si me preguntas si aún pienso en ti, yo le digo que no. Que mi estadía cerquita de ti ya se terminó. Ya se terminó. Ey, que prendan la máquina porque son dulces. Aquí todavía se da caña, chequeate la baby. Diablo, mami, qué dulce. Hoy yo quiero beber, beber, beber. Y hablar mierda hasta que me expulsen. Estoy bien loca, estoy bien loca. Mira tú que estás caminando y yo estoy que choco. Estoy bien loca, estoy bien loca. Disfrutar que nunca se sabe si nos queda poco. Y tiro el más. Gente, los quiero con cojones, los amo. Gracias por estar aquí, de verdad. Para mí es bien importante que estén aquí. Cada uno de ustedes significa mucho para mí. Así que vamos para la foto, vamos para acá, métase todo el mundo, todo el corillo, vamos. Zumba. Ya Bernie tiene el nene y yo en la nena. Ya no estamos para la movie y las cadenas. Vamos para las cosas que valgan la pena. Ey, el perreo, la salsa, la bomba y la plana. Chequéate la mía, ¿cómo es que suena? De mi día no solo de mano de nube. De vida te va preso y abrazo las veces que pude. Ahora que lo mío nunca se mude. Y que no me sigas más duro. Welcome into the Roots Rundown. Today is February 3rd, 2026, in the longest decade of our life, considered called February 2026. Welcome in, y'all. Welcome in. I am your host this morning on the Roots Rundown, or a shorter show of the Radical Roots Podcast. As a reminder, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Radical Roots Podcast. It's how we stay independent. It's how we stay vibrant. It's how we're able to keep this really cool platform going. It is not free. With that being said, I will put up our QR code for anybody that would like to just throw us a couple bucks. It helps us out. It goes a very long way. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to get sharper. I'm trying to get more acute with the with the content. See, look, maybe stuttering here, trying to get it right, but I'm trying to get better for y'all. So if y'all could throw us a couple bucks, who's ever out there, if you share it, please make sure that helps us as well. If you're just sharing this podcast, if you can't throw us a couple dollars, sharing us helps us grow as well. Again, we want to make sure we are not corporatized. We're getting you information in a way that's consumable, that you understand, that we're not paid by people who are trying to give you a certain agenda. We're people who are fighting for your liberation, the liberation of everybody. So please support the Radical Recruits in any way you can, whether it be financially, emotionally, physically. Physically, I don't know, but you get what I'm saying. Welcome in. And this episode is called Winners and Losers, Grammys is Political. Because like all art, as we all know, all art is political, as you guys just know. For the folks who are listening in at the beginning of the show, As Kara just noted, I was playing DB Tira Más Fotos, the title and cult-like song from the Bad Bunny from his now album of the year album with the same name, DB Tira Más Fotos. So again, it's a revolutionary song. We're going to get into why it's important in this moment for the Latinidad across the world and why people are upset, why folks are mad, and why all this is political. Why all this is political. So welcome in, welcome in. So yes, we had our 2026 Grammy Award on Sunday while we were actually airing. We actually forgot about it while we were airing it. We were like, man, we're up against the Grammys. I'm sure everybody's snuggled in watching their favorite artists win awards. But we had a pretty good showing. People were on, they were engaging with us. It was very good. So, but we can't forget about like, which we have these kind of cultural moments where it's like it's fun, it's glitz and glamour, it's the shininess, the wealthy people, but we can't forget all that is political as well, right? We're in a moment where there are masked men going door to door trying to find people. They are tear gassing schools. They are shooting pregnant women in the stomach with non-lethal rounds. They are asking where are your papers at. We're in that moment. So we can't forget prior to the Grammys, the large mainstream person that was arrested was Don Lemon. Don Lemon, who himself is a journalist, famed, is a black gay man, ticks off a lot of the anti-DEI block boxes that they're trying to come after. And they wanted to use him as an example, dare I say, as well as Georgia Fort, who is a black woman, who is a black woman. Those are two also check marks within the anti-DEI space. They also want to take down and diminish into small capacity. So we can't forget prior to the Grammys, politics is at play, right? And there was, and we got a picture here of Donular Lemon himself, the folks out there who are part of the Lemonhead Nation. Here he is. Don Lemon, check him out. With Don Lemon and his husband Tim Malone at the 68th Grammy Awards just days after his arrest. Don looks quite unbothered. Don looks quite unbothered, if you ask me. Now, he was supposed to be actually on the red carpet talking to people, but of course, anybody would ask Don back, how are you doing, Don? And he can't speak about certain things because he is under federal investigation for doing the crime of, journalism. He is under federal investigation for doing the crime of journalism, folks. This is the moment that we're in. This is what we've warned about, that once they come for me at night, they will come for you in the day. And when I say the night, that means folks that you thought could go away at the night. Black people, Latino people, indigenous people, queer people. You didn't care about them. Now they're doing it in broad daylight. They don't care if you know. They don't care if they shoot you in the face and call you a fucking bitch. They don't care if they clap on beat with the bullets going into your face like Alex Preddy. They don't care that Liam Ramos just got sent back home and now they're trying to appeal that to send a 5-year-old back to a concentration camp. They don't care. They don't care. They're even dropping the pretense that all this is religious. They don't give a shit. It's power. The religion part was a pretense for y'all smooth brain motherfuckers who thought, well, I'm a Christian and they're a Christian. No, we could agree on Christianity. It's the Klan's Christianity. It's the colonizers' Christianity. It's the colonial ship that landed on the coast of Congo and Senegal to take my ancestors. It's a colonial ship that went down to where the Tainos live. It's the colonial ship that landed in the Caribbean. It's the colonial religion of the Puritans, quote unquote, the dregs of British society that landed here. That is the religion. And it's always been, it's the religion of the Klan. It's the religion of the Nazis. There's always been Christians. It's the Christians of the quote unquote Crusaders who got their asses handed to them. So I need you to drop all that pretense and start realizing, like, if this guy requires indigenous people to be genocided, if it requires chattel slavery, then maybe we should let it go. That's just my 2 cents, and I'll move on from that because I know it can be a bit. But with that being said, within the Grammys this year, keeping it how it was so political, there was a lot of anti-ICE rhetoric from people like Billie Eilish, who, dare I say, she's probably had pretty good politics. Billie Eilish has been, she's been talking about Palestine. She's been talking about police brutality. She's talked about the billionaire class, and all of this has kind of put her on the wrong side of a lot of white people that she looks like. But she doesn't care. She's like, hey, I'm Billie Eilish. I have a name like Cher that kind of stands alone. I have a name like Bono. I have a name that doesn't really matter what y'all say about me or say to me. And she made statements. So here's Billie Eilish, also at the Grammys, who again don't really give a damn. Check this out. Oh, I'm still sharing. Oh my goodness. Here we go. There. Billie Eilish. Here we go again. Sorry.
And our voices really do matter, and the people matter. And I say sorry. Thank you so much. I can't believe this. Thank you so much. I can't believe this. Everyone else in this category are so amazing. I love you so much. I feel so honored every time I get to be in this room. And as grateful as I feel, I honestly don't feel like I need to say anything, but that no one is illegal on stolen land. And yeah, it's just really hard to know what to say and what to do right now. And I feel really hopeful in this room, and I feel like we just need to keep fighting and speaking up and protesting, and our voices really do matter, and the people matter. And I say sorry.
So that part there where it kind of gets quiet, this is her saying "fuck ICE," which a lot of people said. SZA went on there and said "fuck ICE." I don't have a clip of that, unfortunately, but you can look up some of these celebrities. SZA, Kalani, Billie Eilish. These are people that have always had good politics. But then we get into people who also had kind of these ICE out pins. There was, I think he's a producer. I do forget his name. He kind of has a buzz cut. You can probably find this video. But he's asking the red carpet, I see you have a pin there. You have a pin there. What does it say? And it was one of those ICE out pins. And a lot of them had these ICE out pins. I'll find a picture of what it looks like. These ICE out pins. There we go. Here's a picture of what they look like. And these things were all over the place during the Grammys. And when asked about it, this producer, here's Lady Gaga with it here in her hair, and I'll get to her in a second. She asked him, hey, what does this pin mean? And he said, well, he's a white guy. Well, I can't really, what can't I say? There's so many words going through my head. You got to say everything about it. I can't say anything, and there's too much to say. It's just, it's like, don't wear the pin if one, you don't believe it, and two, if you think that you don't have the right words to be able to forcefully denounce what you're supposedly denouncing in this 6-letter pin you have on your jacket on the lower third of your of your body, right? Is that we have to be able to be forced. And these are people who are millionaires, or at least in the world of glitz and glamour, in the world of celebrity and Hollywood. These are people that really, they're not worried about how they're going to pay their their bills the way most of us are. Doesn't mean everybody in Hollywood is rich. We actually found that out over the past few years. A lot of people are living hand to mouth. Even people that win Grammys, even people that win Oscars. There's that story a couple of years ago that the person that won an Oscar for some documentary, he had to borrow someone's bow tie because he had just got off his shift from being a waiter, and he was winning an Oscar that night. So I'm not saying everybody. I'm talking about these people. The guy that she asked, and again, I don't know who he is, but he's well known in these circles in LA, and he couldn't really come up with a good response as to why he said ICE out. Just all that we're seeing, and that's not a really good response if you ask me. Now, moving on to people like Lady Gaga here. She was, she loves a domestic cause. Woo, Lady Gaga loves a domestic cause. We've seen people like her, as well as Natalie Portman, wear ICE out pins, these exact same ICE out pins of that gentleman who I was just discussing. My issue with this is you can't talk about ICE out and not talk about Palestine. You can't. You can't. it's now been confirmed by several different outlets that ICE is being aided with the technology and tactical maneuvers and training from the IDF. And they actually have an APB out. They actually have us. They're actually soliciting IDF soldiers to come be members of ICE. So you can't say ICE out, but I'm pro Israel. I'm pro the IDF. That's literally, I mean, it's been confirmed multiple times over. And Lady Gaga still has, a lot of connections within Israel. She was very pro-Israel. I mean, again, previous to the genocide, but hasn't spoken up since the genocide began, and it's still ongoing. 30 Palestinians were just killed a couple days ago. We dehumanized them so much, that's not even considered a blip during a ceasefire. Might have been the same night as the Grammys, if I'm not mistaken. The same day before the Grammys happened, 30 people were killed in Palestine with our tax dollars. We did that. We did that. So it's really hard for people like a Lady Gaga and a Natalie Portman, who, if you guys don't know, Natalie Portman went to Harvard and was a graduate student and apprentice to the Alan Dershowitz. Alan Dershowitz also heavily implicated and leveraged in the Epstein files. She helped him. Basically, they said she basically ghost wrote the book, The Case for Israel, which is Alan Dershowitz's book. So it's really hard to say ICE out, but your politics here, but your politics over there is saying, yeah, they need to keep doing that. If they're the ones training these jackbooted thugs. You know who stops your freedom of speech? Jackbooted thugs. So it's really hard to, and this is why we say white women, y'all got to figure it out. Which team are you on? Don't do the performative pen if it's not inside of here, if it's not in your heart. If it's not in your heart, if you're not willing to challenge power. And we know Lady Gaga's not on the international stage. This is why my ancestors, the Huey P. Newtons, the James Baldwins, the Malcolm X, they said you have to think internationally, but act locally. You can't just think locally and have inaction internationally. And that's what we get from people like Lady Gaga and Natalie Portman. So that was again a highlight for a lot of people. They were very excited to see some of these ICE out pins. I was too. I'm not gonna lie. Am I gonna act like that they shouldn't have done that? Because there's plenty of people that didn't have ICE out pins. So there is a level of like, does the performance still matter? It does. It does. But what we're asking people, and again, I'm not tearing down Natalie Portman and Lady Gaga as if they're the worst people on earth. What we're demanding of these people is to be better. Is to be better. And that's okay. Because if you have a politics that's centered in your perfection and not to be perceived as being wrong, that's narcissism. And that's very dangerous to our collective freedom. Who cares if you get it? I get shit wrong. That's okay. I said the guy was Evan Kilgore that killed Alex Preddy. I was wrong about that. Then I came on an episode later and said I was wrong about that. That's okay. Y'all still here. Y'all still banging with me. And that's all that matters. Hello. My daughter just walked in.
Do you have some paper?
Right there, baby girl. She needs some paper to draw on. Okay. Thank you. It's a snow day. Kids are at the house. Daycare is not working. That's what's going on. Suzanne here. I want to be held to account, to do better. That's why I'm here. Same with me, sister. I'm still unpacking white supremacy. I'm still unpacking patriarchy. I'm still unpacking classism and colorism and texturism. That's okay. But when you're like, no, the bad people are over there. Okay, you are not cleaning up your own house. Does that mean you gotta be perfect today? No. Perfection is an illusion. But we can be better. My goal is to be better tomorrow, or be better today, than I was yesterday. I can't control tomorrow. But today, I want to try to be better than I was yesterday. And I've talked about this on the show before, I use my experience with alcoholism. I am an alcoholic, but I've been sober for going on 8 years. But I say I am an alcoholic to keep it present mind. right? So if I'm like, oh, it's over, it's done, I'm done with alcoholism, but then I'm going to drink again because what's wrong with one more drink? Again, so what I tell people, I helped a brother a few years ago. This is a side note of politics. I think it's all political too, right? How we have access to these things to dampen our response to the world, this capitalistic system that we live within, is telling us that you're supposed to always be happy to run on this hamster wheel. So I had a brother who asked me a few years ago. He said, "Hey, Ron, how did you get sober?" And I said, "I take it one day at a time," which is most people who are sober will tell you. And I said, "Now tomorrow, I don't know what's going to happen. I might find out tomorrow the world's going to end and they're going to blow this whole damn thing up. And I might just pop a bottle and just drink myself literally to death. I might. But I know today, I'm not going to do that. I know today, I'm going to try to be better to myself and try to be better to the people around me and better to my community." So take that into the political realm. Well, as you try to unlearn patriarchy as a man, I might tomorrow call a woman out of her name. I might haul off and hit somebody. I don't know that. You pay on you. We don't know. You don't know that. I know today I'm going to try to learn something about how patriarchy harms me. I'm going to try to unpack why I view women a certain way and why I view men a certain way. Why I'm still trying to unpack my homophobia. Why I'm still trying to unpack my transphobia that was beat into me through a system of white supremacy. Do you see how that works? We're like, all we can do is control today. Oh, I didn't read anything yesterday. That's okay. You can read something today. Oh, I didn't talk to my queer friend today. Okay, talk to them. Or yesterday, talk to them today. That's okay. I didn't even do my Audible 10 minutes of Audible. Okay, you can do it today. Every day. So I use my alcoholism as a jumping off point for my political radicalization. And really, we shouldn't even call it what radicalized you within politics. We should say what deprogrammed you and it was you're able to tap back into your shared humanity with people. That's what it is. Because we've been programmed to view black as this, white is that, man is this, woman is that, gay is this, immigrant is that. We've all been programmed it. So instead of saying what radicalized you, we should be asking each other, what deprogrammed you? What deprogrammed you? Now, we're 23 minutes. I'm gonna try to keep it short today for real. Folks, I mean, y'all been banging with me. The show's been going about an hour. And I thank y'all for riding with me for the whole hour. It's been jumping. Comments are going great. So I'll try to keep it as concise as possible. But so continuing on with the politics of the Grammys. Of course, we had Kendrick Lamar, who has beat out Jay-Z for the most Grammys for any rapper. Of course, I think Drake had that line that if Kendrick coughs to give him a Grammy. There's some validity to that, but also at the end of the day, it's like you sound like you hating Drake. But Kendrick was able to beat out Jay-Z. And I'm sure Jay-Z's proud of that, right? Jay-Z's an older man now, going on 60. You see a young brother like Kendrick come up with all that he's got going on. But of course, with that, what else do we have drop on Friday? Was a Saturday? It was some more Epstein files. And who was listed in there? Jay-Z was in there. Pusha T was in there. And Kendrick Lamar, as he's on stage, says, "I see you, Pusha T," who's now implicated to a degree within the Epstein files as a handler for a woman, right? That Harvey Weinstein had drug a woman and said that Pusha T was one of the handlers for these women. And he was up for a Grammy for Album of the Year for Let God Sort Him Out, which was a great album. We got to be honest with this, right? No one's above reproach. No one. Jay-Z, I grew up on Jay-Z. I grew up on R. Kelly and Diddy too. But we have to understand, like, once shit's out there that needs to be proven, not just allegations. There's a sworn testimony. That's different from just some sort of online portal. But then again, I don't got no friends that are in the Epstein files. And I think we need to scrutinize these people and they should be held to account. So Kendrick did that. But on a lighter note, or on a more positive note, we had Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio, better known as Baboni, who won for best for Album of the Year for DB Terema Photos. And here is his acceptance speech.
And the Grammy goes to Bad Bunny. Debí tirar Puerto Rico. Créeme cuando te digo que somos mucho más grandes que 100 por 35. Y no existe nada que no podamos lograr. Gracias a Dios, gracias a la academia, gracias a todas las personas que han creído en mí durante toda mi carrera, a todas las personas que trabajaron en este álbum. Gracias, mami, por parirme en Puerto Rico. Te amo. I want to dedicate this award to all the people that had to leave their homeland, their country, to follow their dreams. Para todas las personas que han perdido un ser querido y aún así han tenido que seguir hacia adelante y continuar con mucha fuerza. Este premio es para ustedes. Gracias por tanto amor. Los quiero. A todos los latinos en el mundo entero y todos los artistas que estuvieron antes y que merecieron estar en esta tarima recogiendo este premio. Muchas gracias.
That, in a moment where the Supreme Court on, I believe it's Friday, said that these mass January 6ers, these white supremacists, can go into schools and churches and homes without warrants, based on the way you look, based on the way you speak, based on your accent, based on your last name. A moment for Benito to go up there and say, you know, on his earlier speech, ICE out, and you know, we're bigger than 100 by 35, which is Puerto Rico is 100 miles by 35 miles. So he said we're bigger than just the island, which is their home. Boricuen. To say that, if you know anything about Bad Bunny, he is someone that has stood for the independence of Puerto Rico from being a colony of the United States. In 1898, Puerto Rico became a colony of the United States, just literally days after getting its independence from Spain, the Spanish-American War. The Americans came and bombed them. In fact, it was written in the New York Times. The bombing is taking place over Puerto Rico, in Ponce, and other places. So for 500 years, they've been colonized. 500 years, they had no self-determination. And in a moment where these colonial beliefs that you weren't human and that you aren't deserving to speak the language that was, again, not your language as well. That Spanish we just heard, that's also his colonizer's language. This tongue I'm speaking right now is my colonizer's language. So he's speaking a second-hand language, and then he's speaking English, a third-hand language by two other colonial forces. And you still got these people trying to say he's the bad person. The person that says we all will dance on February 8th. I cannot wait to hear the intro to Baile Inolvidable. Okay, that's my shit. That's my I'm all over it. I'm all over it, okay? They're saying he's the bad guy who dances with the abuelas, who dances with the Korean girl, who's dancing with the white boy, who's the cowboy hat doing the dip. Come on. Because they don't have shit besides institutional power. But it's important that he gives that speech to say those that left their homes to seek out their dreams, I need you to feel comfortable. I need you to feel like you are welcome. I need you to feel like you are loved. I feel like you are seen. Because there's forces that be that are trying their level best to erase us, no matter if you are from Africa, no matter if you're part of the indigenous tribes and indigenous nations of what was now considered South America and Latin America and the Caribbean and the Taino Islands. All of us have to unlearn this shit. And what Bad Bunny is saying is the reason I will not capitulate and give you an album in English is because I don't have to. When people are talking about this assimilation, and we'll get into what happened with the two agents, quote unquote, that murdered Alex Preddy. They want you to assimilate into their violent white supremacist system. And Benito said no. But it's important he does that because it motivates people to realize you're not crazy. Your heart still beats a passionate blood to care for others, to have empathy, to love one another. And once you grasp onto that, it can spark change in the minds of millions of people further than any Bad Bunny travels the world. It will travel, he will travel the world, but his words can do so much more power, or can do so much more for so many more people, the people that he'll never meet. It'll do stuff like this.
Tell me why you want to walk out. Tell me exactly why. I can't hear everybody at one time.
I feel like the people who actually get into it, black people get into it, it's not just Hispanic, Mexican, black people get into it. We need to fight for that. Like,
Okay. So so tell me what walking out does in your mind. I'm not saying I guess I'm just curious if y'all know.
If we can get everybody to protest, I feel like it's
Hold on, let her finish.
gonna stop something, or they can put a stop to it and keep coming. And I feel like if all of us go out there and like say like all this stuff and like we get recorded and we put on social media, it could get somewhere and it could spread around because they don't usually see like young kids protesting, they always use older people.
Do y'all know what ICE is?
Yes.
It's the people who come take.
What's it stand for?
ICE is
We just immigration.
Immigration. What's the C? We did it before. What's the C? Shh. Immigration, customs, and then what's the E?
Yeah, I don't remember all the acronyms.
Enforcement. So immigration and customs enforcement.
They're not just taking the white people, they're taking anybody.
The reason that I think that the school did not want y'all to just walk out the building is because I had the same conversation my first period. Y'all are more aware. But it's a lot of people in this building who really just were walking out just to walk out. Who are walking out to get out of school early, who are walking out because they want to be a part of a trend that they see happening and they hope that our video goes viral. Not because they care, not because they even know why. And so the school wants to make sure before we do something like that and it's chaos and people just leaving school for no reason, we have a good understanding why we're doing it and it's organized. Because we know that even though y'all have good intentions, it's hella people in this school right now who are going to walk out there, act the fool, and then the whole moment going to be ruined. The video gonna go left. It's gonna be ghetto Atlanta school. Start fighting during the you know what I'm saying? And so we want to make sure that if we do it, you do it right.
Posting us on their Instagram, I feel like if we go out there and play, we're gonna get talked about.
Right. And so that's why the school's like, don't do it like this. We're gonna do it the right way. Right. And we don't want to be the ignorant school who's out there talking about take me through there, ICE, take me through there. Like that's not what we trying to do.
You got to teach the babes. When I was the chair of the Democratic Party, I would hear all the time here in Union County. I would hear all the time, "Oh, the kids will save us." That's really irritated me. I would say, "Well, who's teaching them? Who's teaching them? How will they know how to save us?" And kids like that who listen to people like Kalani, who won a Grammy, who listen to people like Billie Eilish, who listen to Bad Bunny, who is the largest artist on the planet. They're like, I know I'm not crazy. I see my friend who hasn't came to school for a week because she's worried about her parents worried about ICE. I'm worried about our teacher who is looking more worried by the moment because she cares or he cares about their students. I see what's happening on my phone on Instagram because I'm 16 and I have a phone and I follow cool people who speak up about injustice. And I got to do something. So when Benito takes to that mic for album of the year, and an album that has so much protest about colonization and gentrification and stealing their homelands and feeling like you're lost on your own soil, that resonates with so many of us, no matter if you're not from Boricua. But we know it's like, as Black people, to be gentrified out of Harlem. Me from Pittsburgh, where I grew up, now they moved all the Black people out by raising the rents, and now they look at you as you're the problem, like they did with my grandma's house, like what's happening here in Charlotte with the gentrification. A homeboy of mine, his grandparents had a house right outside of Uptown. They're trying to give them millions of dollars because they want to build all these luxury homes, and they're like, hold on to that, grandma. It's very familiar to all of us. All of us are Palestinians. All of us are from Boricua. All of us are enslaved. All of us are the indigenous. Now, how that fits into the story and who wants to approximate to which power is very important to this next part. So, and then thank you so much for, thank you, Suzanne, for saying how I tie things together. My wife says that. She likes how I tie things together. I don't know. I appreciate you guys. But yeah, it's very important because, sometimes we look at, that's not politics. That's celebrity. No, politics very much goes into what they're all doing on that stage at the Grammys. Politics says what type of music rights they have. Politics says how much they're able to make have the royalties paid out. Politics, how much taxes comes out of their sales for ticket sales. All of that is politics. We think that it's not because they're singing and dancing and shit like that. No, it's all politics. And then as Kara says here, if our voice didn't matter, they wouldn't try so hard to silence us. Exactly. Same with our vote. Every time you hear some dumbass out there say, well, voting don't matter to me. What's voting got to do with anything? My vote don't matter. They're going to do what they want. That's fine. Then what is the low left to try to vote in one day? One day every year, not every 4 years, every 2 years. Vote every year if you can. What does that? It's a low lift. If it's so inconsequential, then go do it. If your voice doesn't matter, then say something. If it doesn't matter, think the logic. My voice don't matter. Then say. If it doesn't matter, then say something. What they're saying is, I'm afraid. And when I said at the end of our last episode, all this ICE bullshit, the Trump administration, they want us afraid. But it's not working, folks, because it's making us angry. We're not afraid. It's making us angry. Look at Alex Preddy. Look at Renee Good. Look at that woman that Rom showed the last episode who got pulled over, and the cops, those ICE pigs, those January 6ers, those neo-Confederates, those neo-Nazis came out with guns drawn, trying to scare a woman. She says, get the fuck off me. I'm not getting out my car. She said that right to the guns drawn. They're trying to make us scared. We're not scared. We're angry. And I ask you all to use that anger. Don't be afraid. I need you to be courageous. Courage does not mean there is no fear. In fact, courage means there is the absolute presence of fear and threat. What I'm asking you all to do is to steel yourself to go above that obstacle of that fear. That's what courage is it's there, but you move forward anyway. Fuck you. You're going to have to take my baby from me? You have to kill me. And it sounds so extreme. I understand. But isn't it extreme that there's a bunch of, someone call it ICE, the unemployable attacking the unemployed? Because eventually they're going to try to get us all unemployed, right? And the only job you could be able to take is fucking ICE. So it's the unemployable people who are fucking losers, who couldn't pass a background check to go work at McDonald's. Now all of a sudden feel justified because they have a patch and a gun, very similar to the poor whites of the antebellum South who felt strong because they couldn't do shit on the plantation until they gave them a shotgun and a nag to sit on. And they say, you aim that shotgun at the Negroes. Same thing here. Same thing here. These are weak fucking people. This is why Trump said he loves the poorly educated. This is why they want to keep them poorly educated. This is why people cheer on being poorly educated. I was working the polls in 2024, the 2024 election. There was this old white lady who was the grandmother of one of the candidates or some shit like that. I remember the mother of one of the candidates. If y'all know anything about Union County, the Helms family is very big here. Jesse Helms, very, very prominent racist piece of shit in the 80s. That whole family has a stranglehold on Union County. She was sitting in a chair, of course, representing the Republicans, and there was some 19-year-old, like huge Adam Apple, super skinny piece of shit white boy. He's 19. And we were talking about education, and he felt like he could just stump me, right? You could tell the only thing he reads is whatever whatever they put in front of him, right? And now I was talking about, saying, you deserve to have access to education. He was like, why have education if people are going to just use it for bad purposes? And, why do that? And this old white lady, she was like, again, she's a Helms. I can't remember her first name. But she was like, you're right. Why should we pay for people to do this, that, and the third? I said, because they'll end up like him. Look at this boy. He's 19. When I was 19, I was out of the house. I was in another state. I was in North Carolina. I'm from Pittsburgh. I was in North Carolina in college at 19. He's here protecting some vision of white hegemony, white power. And he doesn't even realize he's a useful idiot. And this older white woman who probably looks like his grandma is telling him, you're doing what's right, son. You're doing what's right. Idiot. Idiot. But this is how people get used. People get used for a system that will absolutely snap back on them. So we had, as we move on, as we talk about, Latinidad, we got to be honest about what happened with the Alex Pretty murders. We have Jesse, or I think it's Ordana, and Raimundo Gutierrez. Jesse, his actual name is Jesus, and Raimundo goes by Ray. It's funny, again, these people who talk about, the Democrats are all about identity politics. Is that right? Bobby Jindal, Nikki Haley, Ted Cruz, Jesse Ordana, Ray Gutierrez. Y'all can't even have y'all names. You guys are doing the identity politics. Please accept me. I'm a white. That's the identity politics. But I love this sister's rundown. She keeps it real. Check this out.
I'll be the one that says it because it is uncomfortable. Jesus Ochoa and Raimundo Gutierrez? Imagine, with names like those, and y'all thought you were on the same side? Jesus Ochoa and Raimundo Gutierrez. You think your coworkers don't feel the exact same way about you as they do the others? You think they wouldn't terrorize you and your families the way you're terrorizing your own communities? Because make no mistake, no one ends up with a name like that if they aren't at least partially from the community. You think you're special to these people. Did they tell you that? You think you can make them forget who or what you are to them? Of course you were put on leave. Of course your names were leaked to the press. Mind you, Jonathan Ross was only identified by some clever investigative work by some journalists who were matching up certain details. But you guys, no. Official government documents leaked to the press. If only your names had been something like Michael Schmidt or Jeffrey Miller. But you know that, right? Jesse and Ray. I think this is worth remembering for all of the other Jesuses and Raimundos right now. No matter how hard you try to bury your roots, you will always be Jesus Ochoa and Raimundo Gutierrez. Useful to them until you're not. And as soon as it becomes more useful, they will toss you to the wolves. Happily. Now, I understand some people may take issue with me being the one to deliver this message because while I am Hispanic, I'm not Latina. And I understand that. But here's the thing. I am, in fact, 100% an immigrant. And yet, I recognize that aside from possibly my very public political platform, I have the privilege of knowing that you, as two boys born and raised in this country, will most likely be targeted well before I am. And I think deep down, you know that. One thing that I, even as an immigrant to this country, know, it's that I would never do to anyone what you're doing. I am secure enough in my place in this world to know that I could never. And I'm pretty sure that the problem here is that you are not. You do not feel secure in your place. And you are trying your hardest to convince these people that you're actually a good little hombre. And you know deep down that as soon as they run out of people they can convince you to go after for them, they're coming after you too. Trust. If you are gonna help these people who do not care about you to get to that point, remember this one, because there will be no one left to care when it happens to you.
I see no lies detected. No lies detected there. That was from Brianna Perez. Go follow her. She's dropping truth bombs, and she's right again. And those of us, this one, people are like, "Oh, you're not Latino. You're black." Stop. My oppressor is also your oppressor. Just because you join your oppressor doesn't mean that you are free of said oppression. And to her very point at the end, once you get all of them, who do you think they will go for? Because white supremacy is a self-loathing ideology. They hate themselves. They must always be punching outwards because the exact minute their hands stop throwing, they have to sit with themselves and say, well, what is all this for? Why did I hate I was never really happy my whole life. So they have to always have a villain to fight. And if we stop giving them that shit and make them sit with themselves, this is why people like Nicole Hannah-Jones and 1619 Project and Ta-Nehisi Coates and Heather McGee and Isabel Wilkerson and anybody, Martin Luther King, and anybody that holds a mirror up to white supremacy is looked at as violence to the state because the state requires mass psychosis of the masses. Some people call it the masses. I call it them asses. It's not the masses, it's them asses. Just move the M over. It's them asses. And it's up to us to stop wanting to be an ass. I'm crying over the proud to be. What is an American? What is it? It's a belief. It's a project. It's a project built on stolen land, built on the erasure of Native people, and it's built on the backs of human trafficked Africans. We'll get into that in my last piece. But moving on, so we also had this clip that went around also in the Grammys. So everybody wasn't shining that night, to be honest. Everybody wasn't doing really good anti-ice work, if you will. We had Jelly Roll. I'm sure y'all have seen this clip go around where Jelly Roll's up there. I really don't know too much about Jelly Roll. I don't really follow country music because it kind of is giving MAGA coded every fucking time. And he went up there and said, I don't know much about politics. I'm just a dumb redneck. And I'm sure you could throw a rock at your favorite content creator. I'm sure they have a reaction video to this, who's black or brown or Latino or Asian or whatever. But I saw this guy's name is Les Blackwell Music, and he did a really good rundown. He's keeping this conversation in-house with the whites, the poor whites. He schools them on, you ain't a real redneck. Now, if you know anything about rednecks isn't just because, the son beats a white person on the neck. No, it was an actual labor, unionized labor, black and white. I believe they were coal miners. And they came together to strike against the corporate, the industry leaders that kept their wages low and kept their working conditions poor to the point where they were dying. And the movement was the red neck. There's a red handkerchief, a red neck. That's where it comes from. Now it's kind of been whitewashed in America to believe it's about having guns and sitting there with this hay in your mouth and shooting them niggers and punching your wife. No, that is not. So he is cosplaying to again allow people to be to hold on to this myth that JD Vance and Donald Trump and Stephen Miller need y'all to hold on to believe that this vision of America. Jelly Roll is playing that for y'all. Same way, there's a reason why Republicans, when they're running for office, have to do this. I'm just a regular honky donkey. I'm a honky donkey. George W. Bush in 2000, he's driving around in a big car, big wide Chrysler, whatever the fuck it was, but with a 10-gallon hat. He went to Yale or Princeton, wherever the fuck, some Ivy League, but he has to convince poor white people that their station of life is the norm, not that they deserve better, not that the shit that Jelly Roll is on stage here with designer clothes, accepting a fucking Grammy. And he's trying to tell poor whites, don't get into politics, because if you did, you have more in common with the blacks and the browns and the immigrants and the queers, actually. And I represent power. I'm a grown-ass man named fucking Jelly Roll. Should be called Ozempic Roll. So if y'all find a picture of him from a couple years ago, and now all of a sudden he's got this, and he's out there thumping the fucking Bible in front of people's faces. White Christian, please believe in what we need you to believe in. Please shut your eyes. Go back to sleep. Stay asleep. Don't be what? Woke. Here's Jelly Roll.
People shouldn't care to hear my opinion, man. I'm a dumb redneck. I haven't watched enough. I didn't have a phone for 18 months. I've had one for 4 months and don't have social media.
All you auto-tune $1 million wannabe cowboys need to get redneck out of your mouth. You obviously don't know anything about the history of the term redneck in America. I'm just a dumb redneck. No, you're not. You might not be smart, but you're not a redneck either. I actually grew up in the South, and I was and still am poor. Jelly Roll, you might be able to fool some other people, but you ain't fooling me. Go ask any real redneck what they think about what's going on. They're not going to be standing on some red carpet in $1,000 boots trying to dodge the question. They're going to have a long, possibly slightly uncomfortable conversation with you about 2A. Now, are their plans always realistic or achievable? No, but they're going to do something. Sure aren't going to stand there and say nothing to make sure that the Hollywood check clears. About not having a cell phone, I didn't have a cell phone for years when I hopped trains. You do not need a cell phone to grow a backbone or have an opinion. I grew up in a household surrounded by the same kind of substances, man. That isn't any excuse. That's a lazy excuse you tell to rich people that don't understand what poverty is like. It's just so obviously fake and disingenuous if you've been through anything like that. It's such a cop-out. Stop lying.
And again, that was Les Blackwell Music. If y'all on Instagram, please give him a follow. Brother kept it real. Kara says here, ICE had arrested one of their own because he was Hispanic and had let him go because he showed him his ICE badge. We are not a part of the clique. Get it through your head. Facts. And she meant ICE. She even gives a little code here. She meant ICE, not IVE. Because Kara, you're here arresting people. We got problems. No, I'm joking. Suzanne here. She says she's got I got 2 Rednecks for Black Lives t-shirts. Then on the back it says fighting bosses and the law since 1921. Exactly. You wouldn't be for these roaming federal agents, the Pinkertons. If any of y'all played the game Red Dead Redemption, it's literally about the outlaws who were against the corporatized state that was stealing land from the indigenous. The main character, Arthur Morgan, teams up with the ex-enslaved, the vagrants. He teams up with the natives. He's fighting against the Union Army. He's fighting it at the times after the Civil War. He's fighting against the United States Army, who's trying to steal the land of the natives. You have to go save crow flies in the game. I'm just showing y'all, like, a lot of y'all don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. When I say y'all, I mean like the poor whites. And this is why when people say it's got to be a class war, not a race war, who do you think was lynching us in those pictures? You think this was the Richie Riches? Those was the poor whites. There's got to be a class war, not a race war. When they were knocking over school buses during the end of segregation, do you think that was the multimillionaires coming down from their hills on high? Who do you think was doing that? There's got to be a class war, not a race war. Who do you think was at January 6th? You think it was Elon Musk? Who do you think that was? Oh, sorry, we're playing stuff. Kara says we call it. I call it yeehaw bullshit. Right, it is yeehaw bullshit. And Jelly Roll, he's out here at he's about to go on the Kid Rock tour, whatever it's called, Eagle Fuck America. I don't know what the name of it is. And it's extremely political. It's basically pro-Trump. The reason they're trying to rehabilitate and defibrillate and bring back to life Kid Rock is because he sucks Trump's balls. That's what he does. He's a ball licker. He's going to stroke the shaft and swallow the gravy. That is Kid Rock. He's trying to become relevant. Vanilla Ice, same thing. He was just down in Mar-a-Lago singing Ice Ice Baby to Christy Nome and Stephen Miller. These are ghouls. Ghouls. And if you support this administration, if you support ICE at this point, you are a danger to not just me, but you are a danger to yourself. And that's not my fucking problem. I'm organized with people who want better. I'm connected with people who are unlearning white supremacy. All of us and all of us. You can always tell when someone is a racist when they're like, I am not a racist. Racist is over there. Okay, you haven't done any of the work. Because if I got to unpack it, Carol, you got to unpack it. And then they says he's not political. Jelly Roll says he's not political. Aren't you the same Jelly Roll that was just testifying in front of Congress? I was in jail. Being in jail does not change the social conditions of whiteness. Does not change the politics of the day. In fact, you should know is law enforcement of the reason your ass was in jail. Who passed that law to say what you did was illegal? What is a crime as we're all standing on a crime scene, soaked in blood, soaked in sweat, soaked in rape? What is a crime? And we should be challenging that to these predominantly white people. They're in the halls of power, not just in DC, but in every single state, in every single county house across the country, who want to maintain the laws put into place hundreds of years ago of people who looked at people like me and people like Kara and even Suzanne, who's a woman, as not human beings. And say, Ellie Mastal said, every law that was passed prior to 1965 should be thrown away. Every law. And we should have a new constitution. From the moment that you allowed us, quote unquote, you allowed us, we fought and died and bled to be able to be considered humans under the Settler Colonial Project, an ongoing criminal enterprise known as the United States of America. We should start to create laws from that day forward. Not, the Second Amendment said that was created to allow us to quell slave insurrections. To hell with the Second Amendment. Well, the First Amendment is this. Martin Luther King didn't have a First Amendment. Malcolm X didn't have a First Amendment. Marcus Garvey didn't have a First Amendment, literally. Ida B. Wells, they burned down her printing press. So all this bullshit is a belief to hold on to these institutions. Believe the president believe he's President Trump now. You have to look at him like a king. Fuck him. Fuck President Trump. Fuck Trump. He's a man like me, a dying man. We're all dying. He's going a little faster than a lot of us. We got to be real, y'all. Y'all are at the Roots Rundown, where we keep it real. Last thing about the Grammys. Another conversation kind of came up. I don't know, we're at an hour. Guys, I said 30 minutes. But you guys are so good. You guys are so good. So we had this moment from Shaboozey. If you guys don't know Shaboozey, he's a Virginia country star. He's everybody knowing. And it started this conversation. As we're talking about immigrants, this is also during Black History Month. We have to be honest about these conversations too. So he said this, and then I'll tell you about what caused the conversation within our communities now. I said how less black, well talked amongst the whites, Now I got to talk about how we're having this conversation amongst some of us blacks and the descendants of the enslaved. But here we go.
Like my mother, who as of today has retired from her job after 30 years, working in the medical field as a registered nurse in the psych ward. She worked 3 to 4 jobs just to provide for me and my four siblings as an immigrant in this country. Thank you, Mom. Sorry, I know I don't got too much time. I'm gonna read this whole speech though. I also want to thank Jared Carter, Abbas Patti, Tina Davis, Ghazi, Nima, Nate Stevenson, and the entire Empire team for believing in me. Thank you so much, brother. And everybody else, Sean Cook, Devin Sastry, Josh Klein, and TKG, my lawyer, Bob Celeste, and everybody that's a part of this, Harvey Mason, thank you so much. I have the greatest team in the world. Thank you so much. And again, the last thing I want to say, immigrants built this country, literally.
All right, so this is where our internal conversation goes. We're going to end it today, where rightfully so, a lot of black people, Bernice King, daughter of Martin Luther King, Erica Hart, Angela Davis. I mean, they responded to this. Is that a lot of time folks of our diaspora who were allowed to come to this country after the 1965 Immigration Act allowed the South American and African countries to immigrate to this country, which was written in our blood. We built this country. And I know that may sound like, oh, it's the diaspora. It's not the diaspora. What we're saying is one, this country, immigrants, if anything, stole the land from the people whose land this always was for thousands of years. That's what it is, right? That's the bare minimum truth. Enslaved people are not immigrants. I just want to be very clear about that. We were human trafficked, we were bred, we were sold, and on our backs from the moment the moment we could stand until our skin was gray and we fell in a shallow grave, with 1 day off a week, our entire life being fed 3 pounds of meat and 1 peck of corn a month, cleared out all the trees, paved all the roads, put together any sort of semblance of what allowed the immigrants to come here, right? And you get people say, well, the Asian Americans built the railroads. From the last time I understand, the earliest railroads being built was in the mid 1800s. When did the first enslaved people get here? August 20th, 1619, when there was 20 odd Africans here. So for 2 centuries, what you consider to be this country, the foundation of it to allow a Thomas Jefferson to sit and think of the glory of the Declaration of Independence, was carved by people you will never know. You will never know. I will never know. Built this fucking thing. This violent settler colonial project for them to kick their shoes up on their balconies and sip their mint juleps and say, we had a hard day's work, as they looked down at their plantations and said, look at them lazy niggas, as they worked in the sun. It is no different than the Ronald Reagans and the Donald Trumps and the Bill Clintons of the world who said that you got to work harder. You got to work hard. Even I didn't have to work for any of that. I was poor. Again, the poor people was lynching us too. In fact, they were doing the lynching. Bull Connor wasn't a rich man, but he made sure those other poor white men of the police force and the fire department grabbed them hoses down in Birmingham. Hoses so powerful that from 100 feet away could knock the mortar off between bricks. They had it 50 feet away from children. Poor white men. Firefighters. Didn't firefighters are millionaires in Birmingham, Alabama in the 1950s. So we say who built this shit under duress. Let me be clear. We weren't building it out of joy when I love Michelle Obama. But when she said, I live in a house built by slaves, yes, sister, but under duress. Under the threat that I'm going to cut your fingers off if you don't continue. Under the threat that I will sell your children. I will rape you, man. As a man, I will rape you as another man. That I will rape your wife in front of everyone, that I will rape your children in front of you. I will eat you in front of you. I will make you eat your own testicles like Claude Neal down in Florida. These are stories. So when he says it was built by immigrants, you got to come here and then you got to make it beautiful, and you've had a fantastic inputs, absolutely. But the foundation of whatever the system is that you got to come here was absolutely built by Africans held captive against their will. That's the hard truth for America, is that all your heroes are monsters. This is why they have to tear down the public character of a Martin Luther King, of a Malcolm X, of a James, of a Marcus Garvey, of a W.B. Du Bois, and they have to die penniless because your heroes, whether it be George Washington, yes, he didn't have wooden teeth. Those were teeth ripped out of the heads of enslaved people. How could a good man do that? What they don't tell you is that when he was 10 years old, he was gifted 11 human beings. What they don't tell you is that he became an even harsher enslaver after he left the presidency, to the fact that he tracked down Hercules and Ona Judge until his dying day, who ran away. They never found them. All your heroes are monsters. Thomas Jefferson, the Epstein files. Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, they was fucking kids too. Well, he said that all men are created equal. We got to be real, y'all. These chickens are coming home to roost. And we need our European American brethren out there. You're not white. First of all, that's first and foremost. You ain't white. Once you get that through your skull, everything starts to click. I'm not a white person. What is it? Because white person, it is meant to exclude the humanity of everyone else to be white. All right. So that's all I got for today. Way longer than I expected, but I will end today's episode with this video of this brother named DJ Stussy Music, and it's just for Black History Month. So enjoy this as we go out. Before we get out of here, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Radical Cruise podcast. Again, every dollar goes a long way. I love, we got our mainstay, Suzanne, Kara, Lorena. She's usually in here. She went in here today, and our folks that are in the chat and sending us messages and notes and positive. Keep going, y'all. We're growing literally every single week. I'm so proud of all the hard work we do. I'm so proud of our team. I'm so proud of Rom. I'm so proud of this platform, what we're building. And I just thank you all so much. I could not do this without y'all. And I know y'all care, because I care about y'all. We gotta wake up. We gotta stop putting ego first. We gotta start putting humanity first. And once you have a politics that is rooted in universal human rights, not American human rights, I'm talking about universal human rights. Everybody deserves dignity. Everybody deserves respect. No one deserves to be harmed. No one deserves to be taken advantage of. No one deserves to be manipulated. Once that is your politic, everything makes sense. And you can be morally consistent, and you will be called a what? A radical, because you're morally consistent. So please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Radical Cruise podcast. Here is our QR code. I'll put this up for, again, I'm a very bad capitalist. I forget to say, please donate. If you get a couple bucks, I'm going to be asking, I'm getting better at it. A couple bucks goes a long way for the Radical Roots. This platform, it's not free. So if y'all could just throw us a buck or two, goes a long way. And I'll keep bringing y'all the Roots Rundown. I don't think Ron can join me on Thursday night. Then, of course, Sunday's the Benito Bowl. I think he's also going to allow a football game to happen during his concert around that. But so we're not going to be recording on Sunday either. But if you guys could throw us a couple bucks, it goes a long way. Again, like, share, and subscribe to the Radical Cruise platforms on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok. We everywhere, y'all. We everywhere. We out here. We out here. So it's always fantastic talking to y'all. It's always great connecting with you all. You guys are the best. It is so good. But here is DJ Stussy, which that's his name. I didn't make that up. But it is I got this on all my platforms too. This is his. He summed up Black culture within this quick song. But check it out, and I will see y'all next time. Peace.
I'm blacker than BET, I'm blacker than EBT, I'm blacker than Eazy-E, I'm blacker than TLC, blacker than Escape and SWV, I'm blacker than 8 tracks and stacks of DVDs. We go back like flat tires. I'm blacker than Sapphire, blacker than Baptist churches down south with a black choir, blacker than smoke detectors that's beeping all through the year, blacker than sneaking snacks in the back of the movie theater. I'm blacker than Coltrane, blacker than Soul Train, blacker than gold teeth, earrings and gold chains, blacker than baby kids and even Sinead crib, blacker than everybody that used to be hating Chris. I'm blacker than black mamas that's cooking with Crisco, blacker than every thong affected by Cisco, blacker than roller skating and dancing the disco. I'm blacker than Martin and Bruh Man from the Fifth Flow, blacker than living single and even Keenan and Kel. I'm blacker than Love Island and baddies and BBLs. I'm blacker than nappy hair and hitting niggas with chairs, blacker than Don Julio with my vision impaired, blacker than home phones and asses that's homegrown, blacker than being back before the street lights come on. I'm blacker than Ho Hiding, I'm blacker than Flow Rider, I'm blacker than gang banging and slanging and low riders. I'm blacker than majorettes, blacker than black schools, blacker than reparations and 40 acres and mules. I'm blacker than Shaka Zulu and burning sages and hoodoo. I'm blacker than grandmamas that's cleaning houses and moo-moos. I'm blacker than Tracy Morgan, I'm blacker than Gracie's Corner, I'm blacker than Ali while knocking out George Foreman. I'm blacker than Motown, blacker than roll bounce. I'm blacker than brown bags that cover the 40 ounce, blacker than home remedies, lemon and tea bags, blacker than fried chicken and greens at a repast, blacker than don't you dribble that ball in my damn house, blacker than if I brought you in this world I could take you out, blacker than throwing fades, I'm blacker than playing spades, I'm blacker than dreadlocks, afros and box braids, blacker than black preachers, I'm blacker than black Jesus, I'm blacker than Exodus, Romans, Colossians and Ephesians, I'm blacker than all your cabinets that's holding all of your seasons, I'm blacker than breaking out into worship for no reason, I'm blacker than Listerine, I'm blacker than Mr. King, left every voice and sing until earth and heaven ring, blacker than Steve Harvey, I'm blacker than Marcus Garvey and all of my ancestors that made it possible for me, blacker than Jim Crow, the Underground Railroad, my fist is up and I'm proud, my nigga, and I say it loud, I'm black.